I'm going to change the oil in my 2012 Toyota RAV4. Thought I'd bring you along. It's got the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder in it. I'll show you how I go about doing it. Filter and the plug, you can get it to it from the front. I use the Mobil1 so that the oil drains out freely. I take off the fill cap. I pull this out a little. The front bumper, you go back underneath, there's a plastic splash guard. You go back a little bit farther, there's your oil pan. And a hair back farther than that is your oil plug. It's a 14 millimeter. You can use a wrench on it if you want to, or I use a socket and ratchet. It's easily within arm's reach. You don't have to even be underneath the car. You can just reach back from the front bumper and get to it. You come back towards the front a hair, you'll see right up there, oil filter. This, the 2.5 liter, uses the replaceable element and the permanent casing. So you're going to reuse that whole case. You just get the paper filament that goes in the middle of it. So we're going to take that out. And we're going to drain the oil out. And that right there, I'll tell you right now, I'll put a link in the description for this because I don't do it just for any old thing. These are good. This is a Votex magnetic drain plug. I did a video on those. You can look that up on my channel, but also I'll put a link there too on Amazon. That's where I got it from. They're like 25 bucks, but the things are super duper magnets, and these are made of stainless steel. And those magnets, and like I pick up a wrench with it and in my video and so on, these things are amazingly strong. So anything floating around in your oil that shouldn't be there, it's going to grab onto it if it's metal. There, my phone should be at a safe distance back and you can watch. I broke it loose. Yeah, it's all broke loose. So now I'll just get it to drain into my basting pan here. Yeah, these Votex drain plugs are super duper quality. See? So now I'm going to take off the oil filter housing and pull the element out and replace that. I don't have to just keep you moved out of the way for that because it gets pretty messy for this. Here's the housing. I put my 3/8 extension into that square drive there to unscrew it with my ratchet. And you get this plastic housing with this red O-ring. And then there's the filter you're going to replace, and you're going to replace that red O-ring also. You should really use one of these wrenches with your socket, with your ratchet. It has the grooves for grabbing the grooves on there. That piece on the bottom there is actually a drain that you can end up loosening up to drain the filter out before you take it off, which actually makes a little less mess. I don't ever do that. But it was on tight enough that I went ahead and used it to unscrew it because my wrench is wearing out. I don't have a good quality one, and it's rounding out. And it's been a pain to use the last time, so you can see how it's wallowed out. That's the oil filter I use for all my vehicles. It's the Extended Performance Mobil1 oil filter. Yeah, those things make the oil stay nice looking for a very long time. Here's one with the new filter and new O-ring. Now I'll show you something here. Right there. See that notch in the thread? If you take a flat blade screwdriver and go in there behind that washer, you can pry that whole O-ring off. It's very flexible. It's not hard to do. And then another trick, well, you'd think this would be oily enough the way it is, but rub oil onto that O-ring so it doesn't bind up when you're screwing it back into place. But put oil into that thing. Don't put it in there dry and then start up your vehicle, because it'll be running without an oil supply for a couple of seconds. And you know what? Last I checked, that's not good for an engine. Now in my year, in my engine, it is supposed to take 4.5 quarts when you replace the filter also, because they're compensating for you putting oil in this filter. Am I hammering away at that enough? Oil in the filter. Doesn't have anything complicated. Just fill it up, slow down, let it soak into the element, do a little bit more, let that soak into the element, and eventually you'll see on the outside here, you'll see it start to come up to the edge, and that's fine. You're going to make a little bit of a mess. Your engine will thank you. Okay, so I got that cranked back up into place again. And then you want to do a lot of cleanup, because you've dripped a lot of oil around. You want to clean that all up. That way, after you take it for a drive, and over the next day or so, you can see if you have a drip on the floor. When you start filling it, put a little bit in, and then take a quick look down below. Make sure your handiwork is holding up. And I don't see any dripping going on. Just what I spilled a little bit ago. So you're clear to go on. So don't go too fast. But you're going to need a total now of 4.5 quarts. I tell you what, people, change your own oil. Learn how to do it, master it, get confident at it. Save yourself a ton of money. Plus, know that you're putting the effort and the care into this instead of having somebody else do it who doesn't really care. I've had oil change places put too much oil in, too little oil in, and I would always check. Well, I'd get busy, wouldn't check right away, and one time they put too much oil in, and by the time I checked, I already had gaskets leaking because they had too much oil in it, and it ruined some gaskets. I always change my oil.